everyone, my name is Rafiat and you're welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make correct Nigerian fish rolls, so stick around. Growing up, fish rolls almost finished all my money. I was always buying fish rolls, and I like my fish rolls soft and yummy. These are the ingredients I'm going to be using for the fish roll dough. I used all-purpose flour. I'm using 3 cups for this recipe. I also used 1 egg, 2 tablespoons of margarine, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 cup of warm water, and about half teaspoon of salt. And now to the important part, how do I get my fish rolls to be soft? The secret is using yeast. Most recipes that I've tried before now have been using baking powder, and I found out that using baking powder makes your fish roll less fluffy, less soft. It makes it more like a little bit crunchy, and honestly I like my fish rolls soft, very pillowy, chewy, now. So I prefer using yeast for my fish rolls instead of baking powder. But then if you like yours crunchy, you can use baking powder. And I'm using half tablespoon of yeast. For the fish filling, I'm using fish. Of course, I used mackerel. You can use any other kind of fish, and 1 medium-sized mackerel is perfect. I also used some salt, seasoning, ginger, and garlic. I used some onions. One bowl I used to boil the fish, the other I used to prepare the filling. I also used green bell pepper and some Scotch bonnets. And lastly, I used oil, the oil for frying and all that good stuff. To cook the fish, I added some onions. I also added 1 teaspoon of garlic and ginger, half teaspoon of salt, and 1 cube of Knorr seasoning. I also added a tiny bit of water. I mixed all of this so that they can combine properly, and I allowed to cook for 5 minutes, just enough time for the fish to get tender. The next step is to debone the fish. You have to be patient when doing this, okay? Take your time when doing this. And I like to use 2 forks to do this. Just simply separate the flesh of the fish from the bone. Especially when kids are going to be eating these fish rolls, you have to be careful. Take out all the bone one after the other. This took about 5 minutes. I'm sure you don't want to be chewing bone when you're supposed to be enjoying boneless, yummy fish rolls. After deboning the fish, go ahead and use a fork to mash them up. And now it's time to prepare the fish filling. I added some vegetable oil to a pan on medium heat. Next, I added some already diced onions. I'm doing all of this on medium heat, so anything medium to low heat is okay to prepare the fish filling. Next, I added the fish. I stirred this continuously. I advise you stir continuously, just the way I'm doing it, for about 3 minutes before adding the peppers. Lastly, I added half a teaspoon of garlic, half teaspoon of ginger, 1 more Knorr cube, and a pinch of salt. I allow this for 1 more minute, and then I set it aside to cool down. Now let's go ahead and make the fish roll dough. To some flour, I added some yeast. I also added salt, and I added sugar before giving all of this a really good mix. I also added the egg, the margarine, and I started mixing while adding the water bit by bit. After mixing in a bowl, I transferred the dough to a flat surface so I can knead the dough. Luckily, fish roll dough doesn't need so much kneading, so just about 5 minutes of kneading is perfect for fish rolls. Please note that you can also use a stand mixer for this, but whichever one you're using, whether you're using your hands or a stand mixer, it really doesn't matter, because at the end of this, it's going to turn out nice. The next thing I did was to sprinkle some flour on the surface, because the next step is to divide the dough and you don't want it sticking to the surface. I divided the dough into 11 pieces. Then using a rolling pin, I rolled each piece of the dough to be as thin as possible. I placed my fish filling at one end of the dough. I advise you don't put so much of the fish filling so that it doesn't burst while frying. About 1 tablespoon or 1.5 tablespoon of fish filling is perfect for each fish roll. And now it's time to seal up the fish roll, and this is the easiest way to do it. I've been using this method and it never fails. Simply pinch the dough inwards towards the fish filling and start to fold it up. Fold as tight as possible so that the edges of the fish rolls are sealed and they don't open up while frying. To seal up the dough, simply wet with some water, and that's it. I repeated the same process for each piece of dough, and I advise you to be patient when doing this because you don't want your fish rolls to either burst or maybe the filling to spill out while frying. That's not cool at all. Now our fish rolls are ready to be fried. I was able to make 11 medium-sized fish rolls out of the measurement I used. The frying of fish rolls, it's pretty easy. Just heat up some vegetable oil and start adding the fish rolls. Make sure the oil is not too hot and make sure you allow the fish rolls to fry for enough time. Say about 3 to 5 minutes for each side is perfect so that the dough can cook outside and inside. I always fry fish rolls in batches and I make sure that I don't overcrowd the pan. After frying, I allow them to cool before tearing this one open. And this is how I make my fluffy, soft, rich filling Nigerian fish rolls. It's pretty easy and all the ingredients are readily available. Everything is clear and I hope you try this recipe out. Please if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you'll be the first to know whenever I drop a new video on this channel. Bye and see you next time. Thank you for watching my video.